The show's about to start.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of No Conduct Radio. Tonight, we're actually giving a relationship advice on the do's and don'ts of getting married young. While I know I'm in the minority here about, thinking it's a good idea to get married young, I'm in the minority on this show thinking it's a good idea to get married young. I still think, there are people that I know that do get married young, that I have known that got married young, straight out of high school, straight out of college, whatever. And some have been together for, I don't know, oh my gosh, over 20 years, I guess, and some have not. So I think it's a good topic to discuss because people still get married young. Even though, again, it's the minority, not everybody believes that you should, people still get married young. And I think it's a good topic to broach, giving advice on, what to expect when you get married, what to do so you do have a higher chance of your marriage lasting, because, you do you can outgrow someone. We're going to discuss how not to outgrow each other, and, how not to get bored with your spouse as you get older. So, do's and don'ts of getting married young. Right now, we're only joined by Logic, so we're waiting on BJ and Char, the two superstars who are always too late to join us. What's going on, Logic?
No, ain't nothing. Same shit, different. You were talking about how not to lose the passion, or are you saying that inevitably people outgrow each other? Is that what you're saying?
No, we're just talking about, getting married young, like the do's and don'ts of it, and part of it is just going to be like how not to outgrow each other if you do get married young. You don't sound like you believe that.
Well,
you don't think people can outgrow or not outgrow each other?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, people obviously can, but I have a different approach when it comes to relationships. I think it's more likely that you can outgrow friends than you can outgrow a spouse, because I think that when it comes to friendship, that's, to me, you more than likely you made the friends at some point, or a specific point in your life, or maybe when something was happening. But like, say if your parents were divorcing, or maybe you were going to college, you might have had a certain mentality at that time that's how you met that friend. If you were partying or whatever, that's the context that your friendship is built on. So as you progress in life and mature, I'm sorry, hold on one second. As you mature, I think that your mentality and your values can change. And so if that friend is still stuck in that way, like they're still partying, or they're still whatever the context was, you can outgrow that. And really, it's like that friendship, it was only based on that. So I think you can outgrow certain friends. But when you're in a relationship, I think it's more than just interest. It's also the ideas and goals that you have in the future as a relationship, and it's based on attraction, and it's all this other stuff. So I don't necessarily have to share a lot of interest with the girl that I'm with, as long as we have an understanding I can trust her. We obviously have love between the both of us, and we have a common goal for the future. I don't really need to really be into the things that she's into. You know, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, we weren't compatible. We weren't into the same things." Why do you need to be? If he's into video games and you're into arts and craft, like why does the two have to merge? It doesn't have to be that way. He could still do what he likes to do. You could do what you like to do, and then you can meet up as a couple and do your couple thing. That's just the way I see it. But I'm considered an outlier, so I don't know.
No, I understand, and I mean we're going to talk about that more later. But I do agree with you. I do hear couples, and I mean to each his own. I do hear couples that do everything together, which would drive me insane. And then there are couples who need way more space than I would ever need. So it's just to each his own. But it's just getting married young.
You said, well, when you say space, what do you mean?
I mean, I guess, they don't need to see each other as much. They go to work, come home, stay in different rooms, go out with their friends a lot more than I would. They just need
You mean separately?
They
go out
like
with their friends separately?
Yeah. But the reason why I wanted to do tonight's show is because I know young couples who want to get married, they face a lot of, in this country, they face a lot of backlash to getting married young. Everybody's like, oh, don't do it. You have your whole life ahead of you. So I wanted to give them advice on, if you want to get married young, here is our take on it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what they need to understand, what people need to be honest with, is that this culture that we are in here in this country, and pretty much any first world nation, like Britain, Canada, France, you know what I mean? Like the first world caters to slut and whore behavior. So it doesn't require men to have to be measured and making like rational, serious decisions when it comes to the people that they bed. And the same thing with women. It allows now for women to be sluts and everything like that. And there's no, personal responsibility that you have to take for your actions, because this is just what society now accepts and celebrates. In the case of, Kardashian and, Cardi B and everything, they celebrate and, idolize these sluts. So, of course, if you're in a society that's first world, they're going to look at it as odd or almost mentally deficient for you to say at a young age, when you are at your prime to do these things, that you want to commit to somebody. That's going to seem very weird.
Yeah, but it's just not only weird. People actually go on a campaign for you not to get married young because, I don't know, somehow it's going to ruin your life. But anyway, we'll get more into that, when we get into our main subject. In the meantime, as we usually start out our show, anything been happening in the news lately? Usually
I don't know.
brings stuff up. BJ's not here. Thanks a lot, BJ.
I've had a real busy week. I haven't really been paying attention. I know it's been like dodging bullets in the Matrix with trying not to hear spoilers for Game of Thrones. Everybody likes to run their mouth.
Lord.
Somebody
so
even
annoying.
on the radio, they were talking about sports, and somebody just went into just like on the Game of Thrones when you got to scramble to cut it off. Like, oh my God.
Oh my God! Seriously?
Game of Thrones. Yeah. Yes.
Good Lord.
It's been crazy. Yeah. So
I just know I have to
I don't
dodge
know.
it on. I have to dodge it like every other thing on my Facebook feed. Oh my gosh, every other thing is Game of Thrones. This person did this, so I know something big happened this weekend or whatever. So everybody's been changing their profile pictures to like Arya Stark, and they've been talking about what's been going on with her, and I just keep like just scrolling because I don't want to watch it. I'm not watching it yet. I'm going to wait till the end of the season, and then I'm going to watch it from day one. That's just what I'm going to do. I'm not watching it yet.
You're doing the whole
Game of
series?
Thrones is not. Yep, Game of Thrones is not something that I want to watch and wait for the next week and the next week. That'll drive me.
Have you ever watched
I can't do
any
that with Game of
episodes?
Thrones. Yeah, of course. Not have to rewatch it.
So you're going to rewatch the whole series once it's over?
Well, I missed. I think what is it? Season 8?
I don't know. I think
what
so.
What season is this?
7
okay,
or 8.
so
It's 7
this
or 8.
is season 8. Then I missed 7, I think, and I think I missed 6, or maybe I just missed 7. I can't remember. But I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch everything. Like I remember it, but not like. I'm one of those people who will watch a movie and still be like, oh my gosh, I don't remember that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I don't really remember everything. So I want to start back again from season 1, you know. And again, like I said, when I started watching Game of Thrones, I think it was like 4 seasons in. So I got to watch it all. By the time I was finished with that, the 5th season was done, and I got to watch that.
It was already,
so I can't. Yeah, I can't sit there waiting. Okay, so next week what's coming on Game? Oh my gosh, I can't wait like that. I need to watch it back to back. So I'm just waiting. So that's
no self-control, huh?
Well, I normally do because I normally watch my shows, you know, weekly. Like I'll watch whatever. But Game of Thrones is really good. I just want to watch it like a movie. But the other thing people are discussing is, what is it, Endgame? And I'm not as excited as everyone else is about that. I'm going to wait till Endgame comes out on DVD, and then I'll watch Infinity War and Endgame together. I still haven't gotten through Infinity War. I think the first time I watched it was the first 5 minutes, and then it pissed me off because of how they were portraying the Hulk. And then my friend got me to watch. I thought it was almost done, but we were only halfway through, and I was like, oh, my God, I can't take this. I just didn't like it. And I think my problem is I do read comic books, and I know what it's supposed to be, so watching their interpretation of it pisses me off, whereas everyone else, most people who are into comic book movies now don't read the comics. So they don't care. They just see an awesome movie, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is awesome, and they don't understand where I'm coming from. So I'll suffer through it after it comes on DVD, and I'll watch that and Infinity War together and suffer through that. I still haven't watched Wonder Woman, which I know this is a whole different universe. I haven't watched Wonder Woman, and I really don't think that's happening. Every time I go to watch it, it's just like, oh, I don't want to watch this. I haven't watched Captain Marvel, and I don't know if that's happening. And I think that's really it that I haven't watched.
That Captain Marvel looks like a root canal for me because
well,
I'm definitely well versed in the comics as well, and first of all, her name was never really Captain Marvel. It was Miss Marvel. The original Captain Marvel was a black girl.
But you can't say that nowadays because I want to be identified for who I am.
That's not insulting. Like, whatever. It's like, I don't know. This is what I'm saying. These are the things that irritate me because now they're letting politics dictate art. You know, and it's like, how is that going to work? Why would you even? But I know why the studio is doing it because they want to maximize their profits, and they want to, appeal to as many people as possible in order for it to have a global market. But it's just, to me, it suffers. I'm in the same boat with you. I am not interested at all in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, as they call it, because it's not the 616, which the comics is based off of. And again, I don't mind if you want to tell a different story, because the comics already told that story. Like, I understand that, you know, but to me, you have to be faithful to what the character is, at least, you know. Like, Deadpool was good because he's like he is in the book, you know, even though they might be telling a different story that we haven't seen, you know, because everything that he's been doing lately, I won't give spoilers away for this last one, but there's a character, a major X-Men character in this last one that he did, that thing never really happened in the books, but they're just telling a new story, which is fine. I thought they did a good job, whatever. But when, like you said, when they have the Hulk acting like a toddler, like he can barely speak or something like that, and they got the, like, Thor, they're robbing him, they're robbing Hulk of certain stories he had and giving it to Thor, and then taking other things, and it's that kind of stuff irritates me. It's like, what are you doing that for? Why? So I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, I didn't like who they cast. I thought, and as a woman, I think
they
women should have been
offended by that casting.
Yeah, because it's like she is like the typical, I wanted to be a model, but I'll settle for acting, and that's how she doesn't even, she's not an actor. She's horrible when it comes to acting. So the fact that women can be so, you know, savage when it comes to men, like, you're objectifying women and deciding that they should look one way, that's clearly casting in a way that they thought, she's beautiful, let's just cast her because she's so, instead of getting a woman that might be thick, or she may not be as beautiful but her acting is phenomenal, or whatever. Like, instead of them casting that, they went with this chick who, again, wanted to be a runway model but wasn't good enough. So she decided to go into the Fast and the Furious movies.
Which nobody remembers her on Fast and Furious.
Right, because she has the personality of wallpaper. So they just cut her and killed her off. And let's make her the most iconic comic book heroine. Okay, makes no sense.
And then even that, they messed up. They messed up who Wonder Woman is. They had her chasing after some dude, having sex with some dude after she'd only known him like a handful of days, and then, you know, pining after him, and then she was acting naive as frick, and that is so
and
not
then
Wonder
fighting
Woman.
with her
and
shield,
women should
like
have been
Captain America.
Offended by that.
They also
women
had her
been
using her
by
shield.
That. But the problem is, as I keep pointing out on my Facebook page, is that the only reason it's becoming a thing now is because it's a fad. You know what I'm saying? The hashtag Me Too movement. You know, they want to see quote unquote strong women on the big screen, and you know, back when strong women were on the big screen, like Ripley, like what was I watching about? Trinity from The Matrix, Xena, all of them. Back when strong women were on the big screen, these
how about
women
Linda
crying
Carter
about it now.
back in the 70s?
The original
the original
Wonder Woman.
And Charlie's Angels.
And
they were all
don't forget
chicks back in the day.
Don't forget freaking Terminator 2, what's her name? Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
She was the whole show.
She was
But
anyways,
anyways,
part 2.
you know, back when they were out, back when those movies were out, it was considered I guess guy shows, because it was like, oh, they're shooting too much, oh, whatever, and these women were into rom-coms back then, like The Bridges of Madison County. I have never watched that movie, never will, but again, my thing is action and adventure, And actually, the funny thing is, even if the people make fun of me for this, they've always made fun of me my whole life. Even if the movie or the show is bad, if there's a female lead in it, I just like going to see it. That's how I've always been. Eon Flux. Eon Flux was terrible. I went to the movies to see that because there was a female lead. But again, back when these things wasn't as fashionable as it is now, women were out there watching romantic movies and rom-coms and stuff. And now they want to act like Wonder Woman is the first iconic. And, oh, my God, Miss Marvel. It just freaking annoys me. Oh, the way they portray her freaking annoys me so much. It makes me feel like
what puzzles me more about Miss Marvel is that, or Captain Marvel, is that they're trying to build her up into this thing that she never was in the comic. Like, supposed to be this very strong and this ace in the hole. And really, the only thing Miss Marvel did was she served as
give Rogue her power.
She served as the source that Rogue drained in order to. That's why Rogue is a tank. Like, she can take it, whatever. But it was never like Carol Danvers is the character's name. She never was like a heavy in the comic book world. It was always like Rogue was more of the one. So my question was, why didn't you just do a movie about Rogue?
About Rogue? You know how many people would have gone and seen that? But they decided to mess Rogue up in the original X-Men. They made her like a teenager, and then like she didn't know what she was doing, and Wolverine had to save her. Like, I don't even know why they did that.
I don't know. I have no idea. I think that would have been a better idea to do Rogue.
It would have. Rogue was amazing. Everybody liked Rogue, and then they also downplayed Storm. Storm was amazing.
She was the second in command.
Whatever.
But I would like to talk to a feminist though to really to see if they care about all of this stuff that we're saying. Like for like especially ones now that are saying this is the first time, because even black people are doing it now. Like they're trying to act like Blade and Spawn never happened, and somehow they should be so thankful that Chadwick Boseman decided to wait a minute.
Freaking Black Panther.
Yo, what's his name? Sidney Poitier slapped the shit out of a white man back in like 57 or something. When I don't even remember what year that came out. That was like the first action-y type of black guy that you saw. So really, if you want to talk about black action, that was the first in the 50s. Let alone Passenger 57 and everything that we've seen from Wesley Snipes before he even did Blade. We've seen this type of stuff before. Bad Boys was pretty much the heroes of the story were black action dudes. That was 90-something, 90, 94, 95 that came out?
Yeah, I think. Oh, my gosh, that's
something
back
like
when
Will
Smith was hot as brick.
But, but they want to talk about, it's the first comic book, blah, 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 Black Panther. No, it's not. There was like 2 movies before that apparently people just want to ignore, like it never happened.
Freaking Blade was
because you want
so much better than Black Panther. So much better than Black Panther. I don't know what – I mean, I get what the hype was about Black Panther because you saw, these women with their natural hair. They weren't wearing, wigs and everything else like black women always are wearing on TV.
But again, that's not the first time that happened, though, because Pam Grier and Foxy Brown had an afro, and she was blasting motherfuckers with a shotgun, running around doing her thing. So, really, that's not the first time you've seen that.
But no, what I'm saying is I get that hype, but to actually sit there and try and act like the movie was good, that movie was such trash. I can't even. I can't even. It was horrible. And just like women should be offended for this version of Wonder Woman, black people should have been offended for Black Panther. Like, are you kidding the frick out of me right now? But, you know, people are woke now, so I guess that's what entails being woke, being freaking retarded. Oh, my bad.
Let me say this before we say this before we move on now. I want black people to know who've never read the book. Black Panther didn't get his powers from a flower.
Nope.
He was trained. It was his family. It was raw talent and ability that gave him his edge. It didn't come from some sort of, you know, I don't want to say carcinogenic, but it wasn't an effect of a drug or some side effect of a plant. It was that his father sacrificed himself to give his family a way out in Switzerland when they got attacked, and he lived the rest of his life as a poor, you know, under the radar guy that was being trained by his uncle and the security staff. It was a very interesting story. That's how he met Storm, you know, living under the radar. So, if black people really want to read it, read the original Black Panther written by Stan Lee, the white guy. Yeah, the other one that's been rewritten, that's some black dude that had a chip on his shoulder and wanted to, you know, take shots at Africa, and some introspective story about inept men and women who are stronger than men, and it devolves into a horrible, depressing depiction of this.
That's the other thing I was going to say. Black Panther didn't need his guards. Like, he didn't need the women to rescue him. They worked side by side.
Yeah,
and
he wasn't dependent on them.
He wasn't blinded by some woman like, oh, he did this because he was chasing after whatever her name is, whatever that woman's name is in there that he was supposed to like, and lost focus because he was focusing on her. You didn't watch Black Panther.
No, I don't know if you're talking about Storm or not, but the only woman he was in love with was Storm.
No.
They made it someone else in the movie?
What's that woman's name? Oh my God, what is that woman's name? She plays in Us. She plays in, is it 12 Years a Slave? I can't remember. Yeah, so her character, he's in love with her. And in one scene, he was focusing on her, and he lost focus, and somebody was about to hit him or whatever, and then his guard had to come and rescue him.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
That's just as bad
as
Batman.
Was highly stupid.
That's just as bad as Batman retiring because because the girl got blown up. He took a hiatus. Yeah. Batman, really? He was depressed and said, "I don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah. But I also want to point out. Because people are very sensitive nowadays, and for the benefit of our sponsors, I did use the word retarded. However, I don't even know how to put this to make it correct. I don't mean it in the term of someone who is mentally challenged at all, and I don't mean it in the term of making fun of anybody who has mental issues, because I do have people in my family with mental issues. So I say that the only reason, and you know we don't normally backtrack, the only reason I backtrack is for our sponsors, and I don't want anybody to feel like I was saying a word that shouldn't have been used. So I'll put that out there. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Movies nowadays is just so annoying to me. I am waiting for Hobbs and Shaw to come out. That looks amazing. It looks like a mind-numbing action just for no reason. So I'm waiting on that to come out. Do you know they
don't let Tyrese hear you say that.
Oh, screw Tyrese, whatever. Apparently, according to him and what's his name, Ludacris were approached first for a spin-off movie. Right. You and Ludacris were approached first, and y'all turned it down, as opposed to The Rock, the highest paid actor in the world. He wasn't approached first. Okay. But anyway, yeah, I'm waiting on that. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Did you know there's a new live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out?
Oh,
Sonic
God.
looks really weird, just really weird. And Jim Carrey plays whoever the bad guy is in Sonic. I can't remember his name. But can you guess how much it cost to make?
Live action, Jim Carrey, that's about $20 million. Let me see, 50, 70, 80?
$90 million. $90 million on a Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
How much did the Pikachu movie cost?
Way less than that.
You saw that, right?
I saw the previews. I'm not interested because it just sounds like Deadpool. Like, Pikachu's not supposed to talk. As much as I like Ryan Reynolds, and I'm not on that fan horse now that he's Deadpool, everybody loves him. I've loved Ryan Reynolds way before Deadpool. But as much as I love Ryan Reynolds, Pikachu isn't supposed to speak. And then he's doing Deadpool type jokes. So it just sounds like Deadpool as Pikachu, and I'm like not interested, like not interested.
Wait, is Ryan Reynolds doing the voice?
Yeah. And he's doing minus the cursing and the raunchiness. He's doing Deadpool type jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how Ryan Reynolds is. Ryan Reynolds basically is Deadpool. That's just how Ryan Reynolds is. He tells those kind of jokes. And you can't. That's not Pikachu. Pikachu is a cute little Pokemon, and he's the cutest of all the Pokemon. He doesn't speak. All he says is Pikachu, and he just sits there being cute. This is, see, like, maybe if I just I wasn't a nerd, I guess, and I didn't know all of this, I could just be oblivious and just enjoy these movies coming out. But the problem is, when everybody else was doing whatever else was in back in the day, I was doing my own thing, and I know these things now. So it's annoying me.
I think it's also a factor that people don't care about it as much as say you or I do. Like, they might look at it like, it's just a comic book movie. Who cares? Or it's just, who cares about Pokemon? It's just a Pokemon movie. Like, I don't think they care enough. Like, to them, it's just a way to turn their brain off for, an hour and a half or 2 hours and just watch explosions. Or like the Transformer movies were ridiculous. But people went to.
Because if you look at Hobbs and Shaw, it's really a dumb movie. Like, it's really a stupid movie. Like, they're about to take out Idris Elba, who's supposed to be like this genetically enhanced guy with, I don't know, old hammers and hacksaws from, what is The Rock? He's half black and half Samoan. So he's supposed to go back to, like, his Samoan roots because his mom sold all his guns. And so he's like, we're going to take it old school. And so he has hammers and axes and stuff, and they're supposed to be taking out a genetically enhanced human who has guns. If you actually
they're using tribal weapons? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. If you actually sit down and look at the movie and you want to sit and think about it, it's really a dumb movie.
Hell?
The Rock is pulling the helicopter. He's pulling the helicopter. Like, no freaking human can pull a helicopter. Like, you know what I'm saying? I understand if he was an X-Men or something, but he's just The Rock. Stuff like that. So, but I'm looking forward to this movie because it's just action. Like, I like.
But I think that the reason people don't split hairs on that is because it's in that same genre, like Bad Boys. Like, narcotics detective is going to be chasing, some suspects down the highway in a Ferrari while shooting an SMG out of it's not going to happen. But I think it's a part of that mindless action thing. Again, Lethal Weapon was the same. These two detectives are running around pulling houses down with pickup trucks that are perched on the cliff. It's ridiculous. But I think people just like that action spectacle. So that's why The Rock taking on, a super soldier with with axes and hammers or whatever, is something that people will sit there and watch because it's a spectacle thing. That's what I think. It's probably something like that.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. But then when you just start getting really dumb with it, I can't deal with it. Like these Detective Pikachu, the Wonder Woman, all of these Avengers. Like I really appreciated the first Avenger. I even liked when they initially threw. Notice I say threw, but when they threw Black Panther into Infinity War, I was hype about Black Panther. I didn't really like Infinity War that much, but it was okay, a bunch of action, blah blah blah. But then, if they did like Endgame,
are you talking about Avengers or Infinity Wars?
Avengers. I was saying I really liked Avengers, so all the way up until Civil War. Civil War was all right, and I liked when they put Black Panther in there. But when you start getting stupid, like why did you have to show the Hulk weak? Like I don't understand that. Why is he scared? Like why couldn't you just show the Hulk not scared? It's just certain things I can't get over.
Or if he would mess up the story that you're trying to tell, just take him out of the equation somehow. But
just feel like his temper was getting too much, and I don't know. They had to blast him off somewhere, and that's where you do the spin-off for what's the comic book series Hulk?
Planet Hulk.
Planet Hulk. You could have done the spin-off for that.
Yeah, but now you have to remember now.
Fighting Thanos.
You have to remember now that if you do that now you can't. Now Thor can't rob him of his story anymore. Remember? Because they had Thor take his story in order for them to do Thor.
That was horrible. They were trying to make it a comedy too. It was terrible. And the Hulk in there was talking, me Hulk, you Thor, you puny. I'm like, are you serious? When he was in Planet Hulk, he was Hulk, but he was talking like he was his alter ego. He was speaking regular English. Why did they have to do that? Like, I don't.
He was just short. He wasn't saying a lot.
They could have done Thor's bit in that whole movie without taking away from the Hulk's bit, and they could have still done Planet Hulk, which was an amazing story. But I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's just certain things when you start getting stupid with it, I just can't. And Ms. Marvel, I just couldn't, because knowing her from the comic books, it was like, why is she even getting a movie? And then when you realize it's just the politics of it all, you just get a sour taste in your mouth, and it's just like you just lose interest. You know what I'm saying? Hobbs and Shaw.
Now, do you feel? Now, see, this is the argument, though. This is the argument that people have. Now, do you feel that film and or I should say media, film, television, music, should have a consciousness about it, meaning like, okay, we know that there should be more diversity, so we need to make stories with more diversity, or we need to have stories with more feminine elements to it because we're at a different understanding now in feminism. Like, do you think that should happen, or do you think it shouldn't? Like, the two should never meet?
The reason I think
and before you give it, before you give your answer, remember also that back in the day it was barely any black people. And so because of wanting to be inclusive, they came up with a lot more TV shows and movies with black people in it in order to change.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was having a coughing fit back here. But the reason I think it shouldn't merge, it should be parallel and at times merge maybe at like maybe 20% to go with the times, but just like take a 90-degree angle off a cliff and just it's just I don't. Okay, let me try and get my thoughts together. It should and it shouldn't. It should because they do need more female inclusion. They do need more minorities because this whole thing about only white people being in space, for instance, in Star Wars or in what's the name, Middle Earth, only white people being there, that's ridiculous. So you kind of need to get with the times here. So in those aspects, they do need more inclusion. However, when you're just trying to follow the political trail, as in #MeToo, good Lord, as in the #MeToo movement, and you just like suddenly you're going from, I don't know, the regular Avengers movie, the X-Men and stuff like that, and suddenly Captain Marvel, who has no merit at all, like who the hell is she? And you're trying to make her equal to Captain America just because, I don't even know, like you're saying there needs to be strong female leads, but there's always been strong female leads on TV and on movies. So when you just take a sharp left turn, you start messing up movies. But then again, I guess if I'm coming from the aspect of a producer who's trying to make money, I would do the same thing. Coming from a moviegoer,
really,
it's annoying.
Well, wait, hold on.
It's annoying.
Go ahead, expound.
Coming from a moviegoer, it's annoying. Coming from a business standpoint, you got to strike while the iron's hot. So in business, you always know the first quarter is slow because in the fourth quarter, everyone spent up their money during the holiday season. So in the first quarter, you know that's the planning phase. In the second quarter, you know you need to start rolling out, you need to start implementing, blah, 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 blah. This is when you start spending your money because that's when you'll start getting the money back. Fourth quarter is when you're going to make a lot of money because, again, holiday season. And if there's something like, say, I don't know, Amazon came out with an innovative idea, you jump on that idea because that's when you get the most money. You know what I'm saying? So as a producer, if I'm thinking from a business standpoint, then absolutely. If this is what's making the money, then that's what I'll do. As the consumer, it's freaking annoying. So I guess there is no right answer to it. Huh?
Well,
because look, the Avengers Infinity War, even though I didn't go see it, and I'm not even remotely interested in it, in the opening weekend, it made $1 billion. So if I was a producer, I would be stupid to not jump in on this Me Too movement and what's the Black Lives Matter movement, and I would just be stupid not to jump in on this. I could make money. It could sustain my family for generations. Just me alone trying to make a statement, you know, who's going to listen to my statement? I'm not going to mess up my whole financial aspect just to make a statement. I'm going to jump in on it as a business owner. That's just me. In the back end, I might be cussing it out. Oh, my God, these people are stupid. But as a business owner, I'm going to jump in on it.
Well, see, I tend to hear this argument all the time, like exactly what you just said. Like most people tend to go that direction with their thought process. And I even have a friend that thinks that I'm silly because I don't agree with, you just got to do what you got to do to get this money. My thing is, when it comes to art, whenever you come into a project, it doesn't matter if you're painting, you're making music, or you're making a television show, or you're writing a book. Like if your main driving factor behind it is money, like I want to make money, it's going to suffer because there's no passion behind it. That's the difference between art and producing a commodity. Like people, businessmen that go drilling for oil, they're driven by money, because it's a commodity that they're trying to find and sell it. The Banana Republics down there where Chiquita and Dole are like the rulers of the whole thing. They're selling a product. That's essentially bananas are the drug that they're pushing, basically, and that's how they're making their money. But art is always from a place of passion. Like creativity comes from a passion to do something. So my thing is, I understand times have changed, but they haven't changed that much, because if we're going to talk about media and movies and film changing, including more black people, that has happened. But at the same time, like you said, Lord of the Rings came out in 2000. You know what I mean? And it went on for years, and there was no black people anywhere to be seen in this entire, not beyond trilogy, because The Hobbit, it was the same thing. That was 6 movies. No black people. How's that possible? You know what I mean? Star Wars, besides Mace Windu and, what's his name, Lando Calrissian, everybody in space on every planet in every solar system was a white person. So apparently they're the majority in space and time. So it's like that kind of stuff. Like, why is that happening? Now, I say this to say that diversity is something that they use in order to sell a product, because I really don't think that the thought process is diverse. I think they did Black Panther because being black and being conscious is in right now, just like back in the day when it was the black exploitation movies. I don't think they cared about black identity. They just did it because at that time, in the 60s and 70s, black people were like, fight the power, brother, blah, blah, blah. And, so that's why you had your Coffee Browns and your, Pam Grier movies and your Superflies and all that. They didn't really give a shit about how black people saw themselves. They just, hey, I'm going to do this because these black people are watching these kind of movies right now so I can make some money. And I think kind of that's what Black Panther is. Or they're just throwing it out there. But they're not really, you could tell by the CG that they used in the movie, they weren't really putting a lot of effort and money into it, because it was kind of fugazi. You saw it. But that being said, I think if an author was to write something, because my favorite character of sci-fi is Ripley. That's a woman. And that was written in 79. You know what I mean? She, to me, is one of the most dynamic characters because she was just well written. It wasn't, I need to make a girl, and I'm going to make this girl, ass kicker. And it was just, they wrote a good character, just like you mentioned before, Linda Hamilton's character, Sarah Connor. Very interesting, especially if you watch the arc of her character. She started off in part 1 as really girly, she didn't like confrontations. The little kid put ice cream in her pocket while she was working as a waitress, and she didn't say anything. People were cussing her out, and the dudes were treating her like crap, canceling dates on her, and she was always scared, and every time she saw shadows, and she was always looking, and by part 2, she was blowing shit up and shooting the houses full, trying to snipe a guy. She just didn't care. Had a whole arsenal in Mexico and was leading the revolution. It was a very poignant character arc, and they had a cutout scene in part 2 where she was daydreaming about Reese still being alive, and she instantly turned back into a girl when he hugged her. You know, it was very deep to see that. You know, that was a very well written character. And fast forwarding to now, Wonder Woman, what makes her interesting, which I don't know if a lot of girls notice, is that in the Justice League with Batman and Superman and Green Lantern and all of whoever else was in the group, she is actually the most dangerous one because she comes from a society that's completely military. The Amazons, they don't have this whole thing of we need to talk and whatever. They have a very specific code. If you get out of line, we'll kill you. If you do this, you can fight to the death or whatever. So half the time that they're going through something, she has to fight this urge to kill. You know, and she's strong enough to kill Superman. She can do that because somehow their steel can cut his skin and he can be hurt by them. And she's a better fighter than him. He doesn't know how to fight. He's just strong, you know. So to me, watching a warrior like her have to suppress that and have a consciousness of, I don't want these people to feel fear, so I have to soften myself for these dudes in order to feel like, so they can feel like they can trust me in this league that we've made. That's interesting because usually in society you see women not being strong enough. So to see this woman that is more of a threat than the rest of these dudes here, and these guys are like the supermen of society, that's very interesting. But you don't get that in the story that they just told. You get a girl who smashed a guy and was fighting some other dude, and, you know, now after she had sex, somehow there was some awakening there. So it was like a typical chick story. It's not interesting.
Wow,
Carol
she
Danvers
became like Wonder Woman only after she had sex with the dude.
Yeah, it wasn't the sex, don't get me wrong. It wasn't the sex that opened this gateway for her, but it was after he sacrificed himself that somehow she got angry enough or whatever in order to fight this guy. And to me, it's diminishing. So it's like it's still hinging around.
How in the world were women not offended by this stupid
because
movie?
it was a commodity that they were selling. Women's strength, and you should love this because you're a woman. So no woman could ever come and criticize that because all the rest of women would jump on it. Just like no black person can really criticize Black Panther. They can't sit here and say, if everybody knows he's the king and he's also Black Panther, why does he wear the mask? That's dumb. And if this country is so far advanced, why is he out fighting regular crime? Why isn't his staff handling the Wakandan FBI? Why aren't they the ones that's, it doesn't. When you start asking too many questions, they're gonna be like, oh man, you're gonna, you can't. Instead of it being what Stan Lee wrote, which was, here's a man whose father, Chaka, or Chala, no, he's Chala. What's his father's name? I can't remember his father's name. The first king. Everybody else, all of these industries in the world wanted to come into Wakanda to refine that metal that they have there. He said no. Now, this is the Stan Lee story. He said no and barred all these countries from going in. And so all of these billionaire textile moguls got together and bribed the UN to lure him out to Switzerland to talk about possible trade negotiations. And when they realized he could not be moved, they had orchestrated a hit squad to take him out in order to clear the pathway in the throne for them to come in. Now, that happens in real life. You know what I mean? When a dictator or somebody decides, I'm not doing business with you, they get killed. So he knew what was happening, more than likely. And he defended his family and fought to the death, and ended up giving them a way to get away, which was young Chala and his mother and his uncles were able to escape, but they had to, live under the radar because they were still targets, right? So Stan Lee wrote a prince who was the richest man in the world, had the throne, but had to live as a pauper on the streets and had to work regular jobs to see how the other half of society really lives. This is where he got his education. He was trained in hand-to-hand whatever, to be the next Black Panther when he took the throne back. That's where he found Storm in the streets, because a lot of people don't know Storm is from Egypt, and her family, are African people from Egypt. And he met her there, and that's where they fell in love. But the reason that they couldn't get together when he was young is because his uncle came back and said, the throne is ready. We got to go now and take the country back before they come in and topple everything. And they had to leave, immediately. He didn't have a chance to say goodbye to her, and so she thought he flaked. He had to do this thing. But then after he settled everything, he went looking for her. It's a whole other story with him and Storm. But it's, again, interesting, layered, falling in love, duty to people, but also being in love with this person, and now you got to find them, and you have the resources to do it. She thinking he left. Then when he got back, he had to prove he was Wakandan enough to be the king. He had to fight everybody else off, and it was also this, again, constant looming threat of other countries wanting to come in and take the resources of your land, and he had to outfox them. And he was intelligent, had the intelligence of Tony Stark to make his suit, but had the money of Bruce Wayne and beyond, to settle all.
He was actually smarter
debts.
than Tony Stark, and more richer
right.
than Tony, richer than Bruce Wayne.
To degrade him to just some guy who took a flower and was really in love with this girl, and almost got his ass whooped a couple times, as far as you say, because he couldn't focus. This is not the character that's been written. So now it's a pandering thing. And as you said, there were great characters before. Lucy Lawless as Xena was another great character. So I don't understand why women act as if they've had no representation.
There's never been. Exactly. But just real quick, because we got to get into our commercial and our main topic, and BJ and Char are on. But I did want to say that when I said I would cash into the movements that's going on, I totally do it. I wouldn't. You can do it in a way that you're not compromising your values. So I would still have done Black Panther, but I would have done it differently. I would have stuck to Stan Lee's version. I would have done a Blade reboot. So Blade is older maybe, and I don't know, maybe you can say something happened similar to this other baby, and now it's a girl. You know what I'm saying? So that crosses both those off the list. I would have done the Sarah Connor Chronicles reboot, because apparently back when women were trying to act like we didn't have strong women on TV, there was a Sarah Connor Chronicles, but they were too busy watching Saved by the Bell or something like that. So now is the time to cash in on Sarah Connor Chronicles. I wouldn't have done Captain Marvel, but I would have done a Rogue movie and a Storm movie. I would have just gotten Storm in Black Panther and then did a spin-off of that. So, again, you're crossing off two birds with one stone. I would have done Wonder Woman a correct way, and I would have done it with, instead of getting a skinny girl, which is what they always do in Hollywood, I would have had the motto of, we like all body types hair or something like that, and would have gotten a more muscular woman. However, because people are superficial, she would have still had to have been pretty. So it would have had to have been like somebody who looks like one of the Bella twins, Nikki Bella. So I'm not stupid in how I do it. I'm going to totally cash in, but I wouldn't have, compromised my beliefs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to let you know that. But yeah, totally, I would have cashed in because screw that. Let me say hi to BJ and Char real quick. Char might not be able to answer, I'm not sure. BJ, how's it going?
Good. Going good.
Char, can you say anything?
Yeah, actually, Charles told me to just go ahead and just complete the show, and he apologized on my behalf, but I told him at this point I can't get time back. But I'm all good for the last 30 minutes, guys, so I am completely, you have my undivided attention. I don't know much about, superheroes as you guys. I'm not well-versed in that at all, but it was interesting listening to you. And hello. Just please bear with me. I'm so sorry I'm super late today. That was definitely not planned. But I'm glad that I'm on now. So I'm sure we'll have a great 30 minutes together, right?
It's okay, sir. It's completely all right.
Yeah, he said just
sorry if you didn't know what's on the secret mission.
Well,
okay,
he told me to relax, so I'm here.
Our topic for the ones that are just joining us is relationship advice, the do's and don'ts of getting married young. So I know Char completely doesn't agree with that, but still there are people who do want to get married young, and I do want to give them advice on doing that. But before we get into our main topic, we're going to go ahead and visit a commercial from our sponsor. It's a book called Jane Doe by Kay Bruin. So we're going to go ahead and go to commercial. If you had any questions or advice about getting married young, be sure to text us at 484-840-3627. That's 484-840-3627. We'll be right back.
Kai here from No Conduct Radio, back again with another Amazon book for you to check out. This one's called Jane Doe by Kay Bruin. Most people will say that you can't run from your past. For this 17-year-old girl, running seems like the only answer. She struggles to speak of the events that led her to the bridge where she attempted to end her life. After refusing to give her name, the police take her to a nearby hospital where she's admitted under the name of Jane Doe. Her fate rests in the hands of one doctor who's determined to earn her trust and help her overcome what she's so obviously running from. This story is filled with every emotion. A rough upbringing is relatable, but it's easy for one person to forget how bad things can really get. This story depicts the struggle and the hope for escape, both physically and mentally. Check out Jane Doe by Kay Bruin. You can find it on Amazon, but as usual, to make it easier, go to our website, www.noconduct.com, and go to NCR's books, and you'll find Jane Doe by Kay Bruin. How to purchase it. I suggest you go get it now.
And we are back. So like I said before we went to break, we're going to go ahead and talk about the do's and don'ts of getting married young. And if you have any questions, need advice, or want to give advice, you can actually text us on our hotline at 484-840-3627. That's 484-840-3627. So before we get into it, we all know that over half of the U.S., I'm going to say the U.S. population because other countries really push getting married young. But over half of the U.S. population do not agree with getting married young. For some reason on TV, you see people saying, like, you have your whole life ahead of you. I don't want you getting married young. How could you do this? You know, you should date around and stuff like this. Char is also the same way. She believes the same thing. I agree with getting married young. What I don't agree with is having, and this is to each his own, but I don't think you should have kids young. I think you should wait till you're a little bit more mature and have kids when, you know, closer to 30s or in your 30s. You live your life, have fun. When I say have fun, I don't mean having fun sleeping around. I mean have fun going to traveling, you know, building your financial resources. I don't know, sitting in a movie theater for 3 hours if you want, stuff you can't do with a child. That's what I think you should do in your 20s, whether you are married or not. But Char, so you give your reason why you don't think people should get married young.
Oh my gosh, there's a few reasons, but I'll just make this quick. The first thing is so many people that in life have actually said, not just people that I've met, but just generally speaking, there are people that will express that they kind of regret the fact that they didn't either, let's say, go to college to be something that they've always wanted to be career-wise. They didn't have an opportunity to date other people outside of, let's say, their high school sweetheart. And then, if they get married young, right, let's say they stayed married for maybe 30 years or so and then it doesn't work out. Now they're older. They have less confidence. They have to re-enter the dating market. And not to mention, there's just so many experiences that they've missed out on, too. And then sometimes also, too, if you get married young, you often do have your children, bam, 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 very quickly or very at a young age. And sometimes there's no halt on that where you really had a chance to maybe plan for it. If you wait, you can even wait to prepare for your children. That's why they call it, Planned Parenthood. So you can plan for those children and really be able to provide the life that you want for them, with or without a husband, preferably with a husband. There's just several scenarios that I've seen other people express this. I've heard this before, where it's just so many people say they regret that they did not wait until really just to wait, to really do what they wanted to do with their life first. Because by the time you get married, and this is for anyone, be sure, know that this is a person that you knowingly and with everything in you, you can commit to and want to spend the rest of your entire life with. If they make you happy to where you wake up in the morning and you just smile when you see them, even with bad breath, messy hair, whatever, everything that could be the ugliest so-called part of life, if you're okay with that and you could still smile and feel really great being around each other, and they literally respect you, sincerely, then that's fine. That's a good feeling. That's something that we all want to feel at some point. But if you honestly aren't sure, just wait. That's it. Just wait. And I don't mean just so that you can get out there and be wild and just go screw everybody out there and get that out your hair. Men do that. They call it sowing their oats. But that doesn't mean they're mature or ready to marry either when they're done with all of that.
Women do that too, though.
So women do that too. So, but that's not an excuse, though, to say, I'm not ready, I need to just see what else is out there. I just simply mean you had one shot, you got married in high school, you met when you were 9 years old, you're together for, married 30, 40 years, and you don't have a clue about relationships outside of your marriage or life itself. And no, you met at 9, okay, and you've been together, so to speak, since you were children. Then then you were high school sweethearts. I should have been more specific about that. And then and it's fortunate that you were married as long as you were, because a lot of people were not married that long, say 40 years. But it doesn't work out for whatever reason. Your husband could have passed. He could have died. Anything could happen. And now you're going to start all over again. Like, what the heck? I don't even know what it's like to date. I don't know anything about who I am. I don't have a career. My husband, took care of me. I was a housewife. That's a full-time job, by the way, so that's not what I'm saying. Just a lot of reasons. I know we only have so much time on the show, but if you guys can figure out the gist of that.
Okay, so
that's
to counter some of what you said. So some people say they want to go to college. Marriage doesn't stop you from going to college. So if somebody told me that, I would basically say, well, who stopped you? That's a dumb reason to not get married young. Getting married doesn't stop you from going to college. Having kids, it really doesn't stop you, but it kind of slows you down. The opportunity to date around. Why do you need to date around? I don't understand that. Like, if you found a person that you've connected with, why do you need to go see other people? I don't get that. Other than if your girlfriends have talked you into sowing your wild oats, because, and as I've heard before, how do you know you want to be with just this one dick in your life? You don't know how much who does it better, or you'll be missing out on all these experiences. That's what I've heard. So again, my comeback to that was, I'm not trying to be a whore. Sorry. Stay married for 30 years and get a divorce. You can get married at 30, 35, 40, stay married for 30 years and still get a divorce. What's the difference? That would, again, be my comeback to that. So, and then the whole having kids young. No, I know people who got married young and still don't have children because they've planned to not have children until they're older. So if you haven't planned properly and you put two idiots in a room, then stupid stuff is going to happen. So again, that's still not an excuse. So I still don't see the downside of getting married young, except for the fact that you're not out there having sex with a bunch of random people. To me, again, that's not a downside. So,
what do you think, BJ?
What?
Yeah, what do you
BJ,
think?
what do you think?
Getting married young? First of all, they have to be mentally ready for it and financially. So that's what I think. As far as you can have kids young, you just got to plan for it. It's just not a big deal. I had kids young, and it wasn't no big deal. Just planning and being mentally ready for it. That's all.
But honestly, you're really never mentally ready to be with somebody else all the freaking time. If you have a good support system, like your parents, if you have a good support system, somebody helping you through it, your parents helping you through your marriage.
No. See, that's the wrong thing. Your parents help you
don't get me wrong. I don't mean they're all up in your business. However,
so what do you mean?
If you feel like, I don't know, maybe like you feel like you're growing apart from your husband, but your parents are giving you advice to, y'all need to reconnect. Y'all need to sit and date and
talk to your husband. No, talk to your husband.
You can talk to your husband, but like you said, you're saying you need to be mentally prepared. But if you're talking to somebody who's more mature than you, that's going to point you down the right path, like you have a good support system, I believe your marriage as a young person can last. Because even if you're, 30, you can still not be mentally prepared to be married.
True.
You're now living with a complete other person that you have to deal with on a daily basis. That's why there's marriage counsel in there. So that has nothing to do with when you're young. It just has to do with having a good support system, having a good understanding of what it means to be married.
What age are you talking about when you say young? What age are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a good question. When you say young, what do you mean?
I mean, you can get married straight out of high school. You can get married straight out of high school. You can get married in college, like in your early 20s.
Well, can I ask BJ
this question? Y'all are thinking about dating and how much you're going to be missing if you're not doing that.
No, I wasn't thinking about dating. No, I wasn't thinking about dating.
Well, see, but BJ's a guy, so he might have a different perspective. That's why I was asking. But BJ, let me ask you this: would you have married if you? Let's just say there was someone in high school that you really liked a lot. Could you have seen yourself from 17 years old all the way up until now, at this point of life? Do you see what I'm saying? In the middle of life, even, so to speak, and you've never been with anyone else and you're still with this person, do you think that, considering what you've been through in your life, ups and downs, do you think that you would have wanted to wait opposed to being with that same person all of this time up until now?
Pointing out being with that same person all this time.
Well, that's the truth, though. That's what it is.
But
that's
I'm
what
saying,
it is.
what's
I'm saying
the
from
bad
17
thing in
years
being
old?
with somebody since you were 16? What is the problem with that? You're saying it like it's a problem.
It's just, okay, but I'm saying that look at how much, okay, I guess what I really want to ask him is this. Do you think if you were with if you had been with your high school sweetheart for this many years until now, all this time, that it would have not stopped you, do you think you would not be where you are with the career desire and interest that you have of owning your own business and having your own fashion house? Do you believe that
Hold on.
Sometimes it does change it. Sometimes the relationship. No, sometimes it is not easy. Why do you think people want to be single until they get their career at a certain place and then they get married? That's my point.
What?
You're moving the goalpost, Char. You kept emphasizing about being with the same person.
Oh my God, who is that? Is that Logic? I didn't even know Logic. I didn't know you were on the line. Sorry. I did not.
Okay, I'm on the line. My point being.
I wouldn't have excluded him all this time. Hello, go ahead.
My point being, the point that you kept making was being with the same person. Then you tried to move the goalposts at the end of the conversation and said, "Oh, well, if you would have the same goals in the career, and being with the same person has nothing to do with each other."
Yep.
So why did you keep bringing up being with the same person?
Because I feel like you could outgrow one another because you were so young and so immature together, and it was really free and innocent at 17.
You can outgrow each other even if you got married at 40. It again is the mindset, and if you don't have that mindset, you have that strong support system helping you.
But your impressionable years are not 40 years old.
Family
but
member.
your impressionable years are not at 40 years old. You're forming your personality of who you're going to be when you're anywhere between 17. Actually, at 4, a child acts the way that he's going to be. That's his personality.
I know people who have changed personalities in their 30s. That's why you have friends and you fall out of friendship because you grow apart. You change personalities when you grew older. Like, what are you talking about?
When people get older, they are also set in their ways, and so it's not so easy to grow or change in any manner. Most people, when they get past 40, they do whatever they do. That's it. Don't change them. Don't try to change their mindset. They have a pattern to their daily life or their interest or whatever. It's not like a person who's younger who can be molded. That's impressionable and are willing to be open to learn and to grow. That's not the same thing. You get a certain age, it's not that,
I'm so open to growing. Don't you think a lot of young people, if they had a lot of, like, good experiences and people, like, support system, whether it's their husband, their family, their personalities would be molded into a more positive direction?
Yes,
as
I
opposed
do, and
to having boyfriends and being crushed 50 million times and then finding out they were used for sex and being cheated on, and you're with your same person that you've been with since 16, and both of y'all have been secure in your relationship from 16 to 31. Don't you think that person would come out with a better attitude than somebody who's been in like 15 different relationships since they were 16, cheated on about 10 times?
Actually, what I had in mind was, let's say, 16 to 40 or something like that, or even 50, to where you really just missed out on so much that you might have been interested in doing in your life, and you're that much older. Things are not easier.
How did they miss out on so much? You saying like marriage?
I don't understand how you miss out on stuff just because you were married. Unless you're talking about
travel. What if you wanted to travel and see the world, and your mate is not the least bit interested? No, because what if your husband is not the least bit interested in going and leaving Kansas, and he just didn't even take a Greyhound bus and on a plane?
Why would you marry the wrong person? Why would you marry somebody who's not does not have the same interest as you?
Everybody, don't get your panties in a bunch all at once, please, one at a time.
Once we're talking to Kai, come on with him.
Well, my question is, why would you marry someone who does not have the same interests as you?
Exactly.
Oh, but see, that's part of the growing process. That's my whole point. You don't know this person. You know how many people get married young, they don't know each other, and then 5 to 6 years later, then they realize that Bob doesn't have any interest in anything that Sarah.
I don't think you got a clue.
You see what I'm saying? This makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Got a clue. I'm sorry.
This is why I decided to do this show today, for the people who do want to get married young, and the other people in their ear, like, you have your whole life ahead of you. You want to travel. You want to getting married doesn't stop that. If you're marrying somebody who has the same interests as you, or similar interests, I don't want to say the same, but similar interests as you, and don't tell me that's only when you become 20 or 30, that's when you realize you like to travel. I've known I like to travel since I was young. Since I was in high school, I knew I liked to travel.
Okay, but maybe that makes sense. And but because you're an adventurous type. But what if it wasn't resourceful? That wasn't an option when you guys were younger and married. And then as you get older, you're thinking, hey, I'm getting older. Now it's available to us. Hey, let's do this. And the husband's like, I've never wanted to do that. I'm not that kind of person, or we don't have the money, or whatever. All I'm saying is, I just feel like you should just live your life to your
any couple, no matter what age you get married. You can get with someone and you think they're this way, and then when it comes time to do it, they're like, oh, no, I never said that. That doesn't
Well,
age doesn't matter.
Well, then you know what? I'm just going to wrap it up with this. If you want to marry young, I personally feel at least do whatever you want to do in your life, and it'll be done by the time you're 30 years old, because I think that's the perfect age to get married. Anything before that, I feel like is extremely way too young.
The
people are
things
very
that you
want to
do needs to be done by the time you're 30.
Is that crazy?
I'm saying I'm saying live. If you feel as if you really want to be married young, okay, 30 is a good age, because there is an age out there, by the way, that's a more considerable age. That's a better success rate of how long you stay together and more of a
Why is 30 better than 20?
I feel like it's mature enough. It's mature enough to where you could have experienced many different factors of life.
So what? Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. Stop. What happens between 20 and 30 that makes you more mature?
An entire decade is 10 years.
What?
That
means absolutely nothing.
Okay, wait a minute, hold on. Stop. 10 years of what? What happens in this? Char, listen.
You can go to
what
college
happens?
And have
Char.
your career. Go ahead.
What happens in this 10 years that all of a sudden gives you maturity?
Well, let's say you wanted to have babies, right? You get that out the way, because after all, 10 years old is a lot easier.
Get that out the way?
But a 10-year-old is a lot
So you
easier
have
to
babies
take care of
before
than a
you
baby
get married?
No. What I'm saying, I'm saying you start at 30, and then you feel it. I think you have more experience with so many things. You could have watched your nieces and nephews and cleaned their snotty noses for 10 years. All I'm saying is it's too young. Anything before that is too young. It's just too young. Anything before that.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Hold on, Logic. She basically has an answer, but she doesn't have a reason for her answer. It's just an answer, and just because I said so. That's all I'm hearing.
No. Immaturity is the problem at 20. At 30, you're a lot more mature. You're not super grown. You're not 50, but you're
Hold
grown.
on. I can speak for Logic and I. Logic was more mature than a 50-year-old when he was 20. I was more mature. I decided to date a dude that was older than me because I was more mature than the guys that were my age. So I figured if I dated a dude that was older than me, we should be on the same page. He was in a career and everything. I was freaking 20. I got with this dude that was older than me, so like maybe close to 30 or something like that, or maybe 30. I can't remember his age. But I was giving him advice in his career. And then I realized I was still mentally older than him, and I left him because it was ridiculous. So this whole thing about you're more mature the older you get, no, you're not. I mean, you are and you're not. You have more experience, yes, but you can still be very mature at 20.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are people who are not mature at 20. They're still not mature at 55. So it just depends on the individual.
Yep.
But I just find it funny how you have an answer, but you don't have any merit based on your answer. We keep asking you, how is this different? How is that different? And you're just basically like, well, this is just what I think. But why do you think that? And I have a feeling it's because you got married young and it didn't work out. And, you know, but like I said, if you get married young and you have that strong support system and you're with someone who makes sense, who is not being cheating on you or looking at other people, they want the same things you do. They want a marriage. They want a family. Y'all talk about when you want kids, which is later on. Y'all are on the same page in terms of career and your likes and dislikes. It will definitely. I know a bunch of people who have been married since high school. I personally went to school with a couple that have been married since high school. They've not been with anybody else.
People?
They've been together since like 9th or 10th grade.
But realistically, are there really a bunch of people statistically that really are still together since high school? When 1 out of 2 marriages ends in divorce, is that really statistically possible?
I know. That doesn't mean I know a lot of people. I know in my circles, I know people who are like that. But I don't know half the world or anything like that.
Well, the reason that most
I'm just
marriages
saying.
end in divorce is because people don't
Financial.
have the no. It's because people don't have the right concept of what makes a marriage successful.
Mm-hmm.
Especially nowadays. Most women, I'm going to tell you this, and I know a lot of women are going to roll their eyes. Most women have no patience whatsoever, most of which are black women. Black women nowadays expect a guy to
You're about
have
to get
the money,
detail. Good
the
guy.
car, the house, the vacation, availability, all of this ready-made stuff. And if you don't have any of these things, number one, you're out of the playlist for most of them. Two, if you are married, the minute that life starts to get difficult, they bail. That's why most women divorce men, because if they're not making enough money, or this woman has a concept of, I can get a guy that, has this kind of money, and I'm living in New York, and you know how many lawyers and ball players, and all of these chicks tell themselves the same thing. They think that the grass is greener on the other side, and they ditch these guys that they're with in order to try to trade up. That's why most women over the age of 30 are miserable right now, because you're talking about less than 20% of the population of men available. And if that less than 20% population of men are the apex alphas who got money, looks, status, and all of this, why would they choose you? What are you bringing to the table? And if all of these women are after that guy, he knows that he has options. So why would he commit to you? So you're bypassing the rest of the 80% of the men out here that are eligible bachelors because they don't have this laundry list of stuff that you're looking for. He has to be over 6 feet. He has to be this big. He has to have hair like that. He has to have a job. He has to live in this kind of area. You're not talking about a lot of guys here. This is the reason why it ends. I know a dude.
Let me tell you a story.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You know a dude who?
I know a dude that was with this girl ever since they were in high school. He was on the rise, doing his thing. He was in a some field. I think it was something connected to graphic design. He was making a lot of money. But you know as well as I do, once that they opened up offshore offices and stuff, graphic design took a plummet. Now, this girl the whole time was saying that was the love of her life and blah, 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 blah. Dude's in good shape. I guess he's an okay-looking guy. I don't know. He had money and everything, but once he had to start downsizing his life, they had to move out of that house and go to a smaller place, and they had to go down from 2 cars to 1 car, she left. All of a sudden, we just grew apart. Really? It seems funny how it coincided with in the same time that he lost his career and had to figure out a new option for himself that wasn't making the same money. But because her family was in her ear and her friends and, girl, you know how many guys are out there right now? And you don't have to be taking this, which means supporting this man that loved her for over 12 years. Now she has to support him in this hard time that he's going through. That is something she shouldn't have to, quote, take. So she left, went out there in the dating field, realized that she wasn't as cute as she thought she was, or as cute as he made her feel she was. Tried to come back later. He has somebody else. And now she's a spinster.
And she would blame it on getting married young.
God. You see, that was the other side of the family support. The other side of the family support, that's the other side that Elijah was telling you about. That the family was telling her, you know how to take this. Yeah, that's the other side of the support. You get both sides.
Yeah,
they were all
I know there's that side of the support, but when I say strong support, I mean, her parents have been together for years and years, and they don't want his or her downfall. They want nothing but good things for them.
I know.
But we're going to continue this conversation next week because we didn't even delve into it as much as we should have. And I do want to tell a story about, like what Logic was saying, you know, girls look for this, this, and this. I want to tell a story about that, and I want to continue where we are today. So I'm going to take a clip from where we ended, and we're going to talk about this next week. So we're still talking about the do's and don'ts of getting married young and proving Char completely wrong. Even though I want you to go, Char, and think about you come back to us with evidence and information as to why, you know, you do not think people should get married young. I don't want to just say I want to prove you wrong. I want the other end of it. So I want these young couples who want to get married in their 20s, I want them to have the full advice from an outside person, an outside entity giving them advice. Not your parents, not your friends, nothing like that, just from us. And then you can make your decision whether you want to get married young. So we're going to continue this conversation right here on No Conduct Radio, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, next week, Thursday. Thanks for joining us. Peace out, everyone.
Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for bearing with my tardiness. All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. Goodbye.
I purposefully don't end the show early just to hear Char say that. Good Lord.